Yo, what's up, you guys? It's your girl, Treaty LPC, and thank you for tuning into this week's episode of the Self-Aware and Effed Up podcast. Man, when I tell you guys, I don't even know where we're about to go today because I have an amazing guest with me, and I don't know. We about to just get into it. She is a comedian and the CEO of Funny Girl Productions. That should let you know all about how this episode is about to go because we are going to dive deep. I have with me today Nikkie Knowles. She is a comedian, a military spouse, and she also hosts a comedy boot camp for kids. And I really want her to tell you guys a little bit more about that because that really has me excited. So without further ado, please welcome to the Self-Aware and Effed Up podcast, Mrs. Nikkie Knowles. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey, girl. Hey. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I think this is going to be a great little segment. I'm so excited to get started.
Yeah. I am really excited to talk to you. First of all, you're the first comedian to come on the show. I love comedy. So when you reached out, I was like, yay, I really want to talk to you because I know that you guys, comedians typically have a very beautiful story underneath there. So I guess we can go ahead and dive in and just have you tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So like you said, I'm a comedian. My name's Nikkie Knowles. I am the CEO of Funny Girl Productions, which is basically just me being a funny person. I'm a funny girl. I've been doing comedy for real. Well, comics always say I did comedy. Like I started comedy, but I 10 years ago. But I was raising kids. So it wasn't something that I was serious about because I had 4 boys at the time and I was a single mom. So once my children got older and I always loved doing comedy. I love to make people laugh. I love to see people smiling. Once they got older, I was like, you know what? I'm going to really go ahead and do it. And so I took a comedy boot camp from a group called ASAP, Armed Services Arts Partnership. And what it is, it's for military people and their spouses or family, caregivers or whatever. You can take a free class. And so I took the free comedy boot camp. And it's a 6-week course and they teach you how to do comedy. And I did it and I loved it. And that's, so that was, I thought my comedy career was going to take off and COVID hit.
Oh, man.
So, so we're doing Zoom comedy for like a year and a half. And so with some friends and myself, we created this show that you can still see on YouTube, by the way, called Clean AF Comedy. So, because I do clean comedy. Mm-hmm. When I say that, I don't want to put myself in a box because clean comedy has so many different levels. And so there's some clean comics that don't cuss or don't talk about sex and stuff. That ain't me. I mean, I don't really cuss, but I do talk about sex all the time because I got 4 kids. I know a lot. But yeah. So, but now I'm out here. Once COVID ended, the show ended. And so now I'm out here just trying to make people laugh one show at a time.
I love that. COVID sucked, but that's a whole really different thing. But I'm glad really that you're back out there and doing your thing. And I'm gonna have to check out the stuff on YouTube. So you'll definitely have to make sure you give me the link to share for that. But you said you kind of really started to take it seriously once things kind of settled down in your life. But I know you said you had 4 boys at the time. So I'm sure that has to be a lot kind of trying to balance all of that. So what is it like for you trying to, definitely hit the top in the industry, but also having to kind of manage your kids and make sure that you take care of your husband? Like, that's a lot.
Listen, I had to take care of him before I started this podcast, but that's we'll talk about that later. But I have 5 boys now.
Okay.
Because when I married my second husband, who I'm married to now, he had a son. And so, so now that's my baby. But in light of that, when my kids got older, I still have to make sure I take enough time for them individually, because they're still my boys, they're still my babies. And then as a family, we have to make sure I take care of them, or we take care of each other as a family. Right now, as a family, and we do family dinners every other Sunday. My two sisters, and my mom, we all live in the same neighborhood. So we rotate houses every other Sunday to see who hosts. And so it's like me, my sisters, my nieces, my nephew, my mom and dad, and my kids and my husband. And we get a lot of family time. We have a group text. We make sure we take care of each other. And when they say it takes a village, this is my village. If there's something, like if I have a show and my son has to go to work, I can call my dad, hey, because they're retired, can you take Drew to work? So I make sure I have that connection. I feel like even if we didn't all live in the same neighborhood, it would still be the same, because we just grew up with that core value of you take care of your family.
Yeah.
So it can get rough sometimes, and I'm not going to lie and say I don't feel like a little mom guilt, but, like my son plays basketball, and his school went to the Maryland State Championship, and I had a show at the DC Improv. And so that is like big. The DC Improv is like huge. And I was just like, I don't want to give up this show. I don't want to miss his. And so he came to me, he's like, Mom, I really want you to go do your show. Don't worry about me and my game. And so I listened to it on, everybody was texting me in between shows. And so, you just gotta do what works for you.
Yeah. I mean, that had to be so difficult to have to make that decision. But yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how big improv is in DC, but I love improv and like all types of comedy forms and things of that nature. So like, I can imagine what it's like in that scene.
It was heart-wrenching, but he gave me his permission to miss it. So that made me feel a lot better.
Yeah, for sure. So you have to do obviously a lot of traveling and stuff. How is it kind of being away from your kids and trying to still make sure that you show up as a wife and as a mother with your hectic schedule?
Yeah, because I still work full time. I have a full-time job.
Okay, so, you got a lot going on here.
Yeah. Like during the week, I'll try to catch a couple of open mics that are like local. I'm like an hour from Baltimore, so I might go to Baltimore and catch up like at a place called the Port, or a couple of different places there, or in DC, sometimes in Virginia, because I'm like right in the middle of everything. So I, during the week, I try to do at least one open mic just to keep your skills sharp. And then I'm very selective about what shows I do and how long I'm going to be away from home, and make sure it correlates with whatever we have going on as a family. So if somebody sends me a show and I'm like, and then I talk to my husband about it. I'm like, hey, somebody wants me to do a show here. What do we have going on? And if there's something that he'll let me know, well, don't worry about this. Go ahead and do the show. And he's very supportive. That's another good thing. He's very supportive of my career and everything that I want to do. So it's not like any resentment or anything like that there. But as long as we keep it as an open discussion, like I don't just make plans and be like, oh, I forgot to tell you, I did do that before, but once or twice. I was like, ooh. But I've learned, just like we have a calendar, you put it on the calendar, you have to have a calendar, I'm telling you. Just to make sure everybody is where they're supposed to be and doing what they're supposed to do. Because I got young adults and teenagers. So, I'm like, okay, I need everybody to play their part.
Right.
While I'm out here in these comedy streets, I need everybody to play their part.
Exactly.
So it works out.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, it works out.
Yeah. And you have a really good support system. Like you mentioned, your family lives very close. And so you can call mom, you can call dad. And I know that, not everyone listening has that type of support. But it is valuable. What you said earlier, like it does take a village. And so you have to have your tribe. And there's so many moms out there that are stuck doing things by themselves. But I know that there's a different layer to your story as well, because, you said this is your second marriage and you have children, with someone else. What is that co-parenting situation like? Because that that also can make or break your experience of trying to balance all of these other things that are going on in your life.
Yeah, let me tell you. I mean, we are, like, my oldest son is 26. He's married with 2 kids. So I'm a grandma.
Okay.
And then my next son is 20. And then I have a 19-year-old, a 17-year-old, and then an 11-year-old. And then my 11-year-old is my stepson. So it took us a long, long time. I've only been married 7 years to my current husband.
That's a long time. You said only.
Right.
Because in married years, that's a long time.
It seems like it goes so fast, though, but it does. It took the co-parenting thing. We are just now starting to figure out, even though they're older and they really don't need us to co-parent anymore, but we still talk at least twice a week just to keep in touch, because adult children are still children. They still go through things. They still are learning things. There are things I think they should know, but they don't, or we need to help them again. And so we just learned, we're just starting to get good at this co-parenting thing. Because before, I'm trying to tell you, I'm like, don't call my house. Tell your father, wait on the steps. I did the Kevin Hart.
Oh my God.
Don't come past the second step. Type foolishness. But, as we all got older, you just don't want foolishness.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You respect me, I respect you. He has his significant other. I respect her, because when my kids were going over to their house or whatever, she was really good to them. And so I feel like I personally, like, when they first got together or whatever, I introduced myself. I was calm, and I don't want to fight. I'm not that person. I don't want to fight. As long as you good to mine, I'm gonna be good to you until you cross that line, and then it's something different.
Yeah,
and she ain't never crossed the line.
Yeah, I mean,
so she didn't have to see that side.
Right. And that's good, because that's not always the case. You have all these people with baby mama, baby daddy drama, and it makes it harder on the kids. So
it does.
Yeah.
I never talk bad about their dad to them. I would talk bad about him to my family. Like, I would just run him through it. Like, I would really talk bad about him. Because he was trifling. He was trifling. And he knew he was trifling. I would tell him he was trifling. But, to them personally, they would never hear me say, your father's trifling. And he ain't no good. Because I didn't want them to grow up with that mentality of I wanted them to learn how he was and who he was on their own. So I was just like if he would make plans and not show up, I just wouldn't tell him that he was coming or not. That way they wouldn't be disappointed. Like, he'd be like, oh, I'm gonna come get him. I'm not telling him that, just in case he didn't. And it's not like he's a bad guy. And he didn't do that often, maybe once or twice. But, sometimes he wasn't there financially or whatever, but they never knew that. I just, in my mind, because I wasn't raised by my real dad either. And my mother I've never heard my mom say anything bad about my real father. And so I just realized it's so much better I didn't want them to have that version in their mind. You can find out who he is on your own. And sometimes they did.
Yeah.
And we dealt with it that way. And they didn't hear it from me, your father's picklehead. I wish he would, all that stuff. No, I wasn't doing that.
Yeah.
So I think it helped out a lot.
Yeah. And I mean, that's important. That's how it should be. Kids will see. Kids know who was there. They'll always remember. Those things are imprinted in them. So, you don't have to badmouth the other parent in order to look a certain type of way. And if you
I mean, I badmouth them. Don't get me wrong.
To your kids, you know what I mean?
Not to the kids. I mean, I badmouth to his face. I mean,
no, I get you. No, I definitely get that for sure. But those kids, it's just damaging the kids to talk bad about the other parent, because they will see eventually, and they will know the truth. And hopefully, I work with so many people that are still trying to work out their relationships with their parents, absent fathers or absent mothers who weren't there, and they're still trying to forgive and move through those emotions. So yeah, but you also have another layer to your story because in addition to co-parenting, you're also a military spouse. You mentioned earlier that you did the program and you were able to do improv class. And so with that being said, like, what is balancing that? Like, I think you said your husband is retired now, but I mean, military life is different.
Well, I got him when he was done with all that.
Okay.
So he's I'm still a military spouse. I'm still considered a military spouse because he still does military things like, but it's not like he has to report somewhere anymore. He doesn't have to do that. He's an old man now. He upstairs. He ain't going nowhere.
Okay.
And I'm thankful for that. But, because I still reap the benefits. And he's a good guy. He was in the Marines. And
you strong.
When I met him, he think he Popeye. I'd be like, calm down.
Listen.
You're 52. Calm down. Calm down.
That is young still. You say you're an old man. Girl, this man is 52. Like, come on now.
I call him old man all the time. He always talking about he going to scoop me. No, you're not. No, you're not. Your lower back. You're not scooping me nowhere. We're not doing all this crazy stuff, in the bedroom. I'm a scoop, sir. Calm down.
Listen, that man is 52. You really trying him up right now.
He be like, why you do me like that? I love him a little bit. He is hilarious. But yeah, the military part, I think it's not as bad, or I shouldn't say bad. It's not as confusing. That's the wrong word too. It's not as much as people, when I say military spouse, that, because he's no longer, being deployed or anything like that. He's here full time with us. There are days I wish he could have been, or at least go visit your mama. Something, just get out of here. Okay. But, he's still here, just right upstairs. And it works out for us. Yeah, he's a good guy. He's sick of me sometimes, though. It's hard being married to me because I'm spoiled. I'm a dad.
I got you. Yeah. But you got a whole lot of testosterone over there with you. Like,
oh, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't ask how that happened, but I mean, clearly you couldn't control it.
I wish I could. I don't even go in other bathrooms in my own house because just being a boy mom, and I just throw Clorox in there and shut the door and let the Lord have his way. Like, I don't do so many things being the only female. And then when I go to like my friend's house or my sister's house, because they have girls, I just be like, I wouldn't know how to function with a girl. Like the whole period thing. Oh my God, no. Doing the hair, thank God for naturally. I just wash and go. Because if I had to do hair, they would be bald. I don't know how to deal with any of that. So what I have to deal with is, boys and stinky socks. And all my boys were athletes, so they played some type of sport at one time. So, dealing with that. And little fast tail girls.
Oh boy.
And then, I don't have to deal with periods or anything like that, but I do have to deal with, we call it happy hands. I'll let you imagine.
Oh my God.
Deal stuff like that. And so sometimes being the only woman in here, you forget sometimes, I am a girl. I would like to take a bath and quietly without anybody at my door, so I do forget sometimes. And when I'm with my mom or my sister, they be like, why are you so rough? And I'm like, what? I didn't know I was rough. So yeah, it's different, but it's fun.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot goes on. It is. For sure.
And then I don't have, because it's all boys and they bring their boyfriends over, not boyfriends, but, their guy friends over. And it's just, my house is always filled with men or boys. You would think that was a good thing, but it ain't. It ain't. It ain't. Yeah. That's the way I would like it. It's not like it's Lorenz Tate or somebody, I'm going on. But yeah.
Not Lorenz Tate. Okay.
I love Lorenz. I love Lorenz so much.
He is just getting better with age, though. Like he is aging so gracefully. So
every time I see him, I'll be like, him and Method Man. Jesus Christ.
oh my God. Don't start on Method Man. I just saw a video today of him surprising Tiana Taylor at a concert and doing one of their joint songs. And I was just like, oh my God, this man.
Surprise me, Method Man. Shoot, surprise me. I would like to listen.
Yeah.
I just shake my head. Oh, my husband's in that sex. Method Man could get it, okay?
Oh my God.
Every time I see him, I'll be like, Mary ain't know what she had. That would have been a different song. Anyway.
God. Wasn't he already married then, though?
Yeah.
He was already married. That man loved his wife. Respect the Method Man for sure. Yeah.
I know. That make you want to love him even more. He respect.
He respect that woman.
Fine.
Yep.
He do.
Gotcha. Okay. So I had another question for you. I'm curious to know what got you into actually wanting to do comedy?
Well, comedy is like my therapy. I love doing comedy. Like I said, I love to make people laugh. But I feel like when I'm on stage and I tell my joke or a situation that I'm going through, I feel like it's a release. And so I've learned if I tell something, if I tell a joke and people laugh, and then I know, oh, okay, other people are going through this. But if I say something or give a situation and that kind of like, and then I'm like, oh, maybe I need to work on something like that. So I feel like that's how I feel my comedy is it's therapy because one, I can't afford therapy. So getting on stage and talking to strangers makes me feel better about myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I definitely can relate to that for sure. So I love that about, your experience, because a lot of comedians do get into comedy because that is an outlet for them. So I'm definitely glad that you have that outlet as well. You are balancing your comedy career. You have a good support system, which is really great. And then, taking care of the family. Where is the time that you have to kind of take care of yourself and balance out all of the roles that you have? What do you do for self-care to take care of Nikkie?
Like I said, being in a house full of men, you forget sometimes that you are female and you do. So I have to remind myself to take a step back and just be like, okay, I can feel myself like, when you can feel it when you're off. Mm-hmm. And so when I get like that, like I love to soak in a hot tub or sometimes I'll just go for a drive just without anybody. And I won't turn the radio on or anything, just quiet. I just like to be quiet sometimes. And, I love, I'm in Maryland, so I eat crabs. Give me a dozen crabs and a Pepsi and no one else. And that's my time. I should just, sit and gather my thoughts and, come back to who I am. Go get your nails done. I like doing simple things. I do like to travel. And lay on the beach. Like I went to Aruba a couple of years ago, and I just laid on the beach. And I'm like, this is my happy place. Like this is where I feel like this is where I need to be at all times.
Gotcha.
But every time, so I can be there every day. So I just try to find little things that I can steal time away. Sometimes I just sit in the car in the parking lot in my house, behind my house, or just sit there and just like mellow out before I come in from work to deal with the things of the house. So, you got to find that time. You have to, else I would lose my mind if I didn't I'm tired of this earring falling out. If I didn't have time to myself, you just like, one time I did lose it. I did. I'm not ashamed to say it. I went to the store and bought a wiffle ball bat. Because everybody want to learn that day. Husband, kids, everybody, neighbors, everybody could have got it that day. And it was just, one of those days of just one thing after another. And then I think somebody broke a glass or something. I don't remember. And it was just like, oh, okay, y'all think I'm playing. I'll be right back. And I literally drove to the grocery store and bought a wiffle ball bat. And so my pastor called, he was like, I don't even know, because my pastor is also my brother-in-law. So I think I had told my sister I was having a day. And so he called, because he's just like my brother, like all pastor and brother-in-law. He's like my brother. And so he called me. He was like, Nikki? And I was like, yeah. He was like, so what are you doing? And I said, I'm at Giant looking for a wiffle ball bat because I'm about to ask everybody up. Okay. He was like, I need you to come out of the store. I said, I am, Pastor. Once I get, because he was past, he was no longer Damon, my brother. He was past. I said, listen, once I get to the house, I'm going to be calm. And when I came back in, everybody was cleaning. Everybody was washing dishes, vacuuming floors, wiping baseboards. They know everything. But I felt better.
Yes.
When I got home after I bought the wiffle ball bat, I felt better.
Gotcha.
So don't take me there. Don't take me there.
Yeah, they had you hot.
Crazy. Trying to tell you, my kids, they know I'm crazy. But if I get there, they know I will do anything to just. One time they were at the we have this neighborhood. You know, have you heard of neighborhood chat next door?
Yes.
Or group me, like those type of things.
Yeah.
So we have one for the entire neighborhood. And so they were like, oh, these kids are at the community center shooting dice and cussing out people. It was just crazy. And it's like 30 kids out there at the community center. I was like, we only have 30 kids in our neighborhood. And so they took pictures and put it in the group chat. And I'm looking, because I know my kids ain't up there. It's my kids included in that. I drove right up there with that bat. They were like, Mom, you're embarrassing. I said, if you don't want me to embarrass you, it will behoove you get on in this car.
Wow.
And I felt better. Sometimes you got to show them how crazy you are.
Okay. I'm definitely here for showing them how crazy you are. But don't end up on the 9 o'clock news.
Right. Exactly.
For sure.
I told a friend of mine, her son was acting up in school. I said, get a chair, put your chair in front of the front door with a belt around your neck. So when he walk in the house from school, you the first face he see. And just stare at him. Don't let him in. Just stare at him for like 5 minutes. He'll get the point. I mean, just do crazy stuff like that because they won't understand where you coming from at any given moment because they know you might be just a touch. Like,
yeah. Speaking of touched, that's a good segue into how do you personally kind of connect with the idea of being self-aware and fucked up?
Well, I know I am. So I know I am. I mean, you gotta be. That's my self-awareness. I remember this one pastor told me, he was like, if you give God your truth, he'll give you his truth. And so I am truthfully honest with the Lord. I'll be like, I don't like her. That's what I tell the Lord. I don't like this. I'm just honest. Or like Method Man, I'm truthfully honest with the Lord about that. I love him, Lord, and I got a man, and I need help with this. Him and Lorenz, they better not ever come around. I'm trying to tell you because I don't know how it's going to go. But honestly, I think just being honest with yourself and checking your motives of why you do what you do or why you don't do what you don't do. Just if you be honest with yourself, truthfully honest about yourself or about the things that you have in your life, I think you can connect better with yourself. Or you could just be like, okay, this is what I deal with. Honestly, this is why I did what I did. Now, what are we going to do about that? Or like I told somebody was telling me that they were frustrated. And I was just like, okay. They were frustrated about a situation they were in. I was like, okay. And I thought to myself, well, I'm frustrated too. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do with this frustration? Like, we can't stay here at frustrated. So what am I going to do? Because now I'm effed up. I'm effed up about this situation and I'm frustrated. So what am I going to do? So in all honesty, I feel like if you just be truly truthful with yourself about why you feel the way you feel, and then be okay with why you feel the way you feel, even if it's not something that's good. Like if you're jealous of somebody, so you did something against them because you're jealous. Just be honest. Okay, I did that because I'm jealous. Now, what am I going to do about it? Let's move on. What's the next step? Don't stay there. And sometimes that's easier said than done.
Right.
Because there's been many a time that I've been angry, depressed, and I don't want to stay there. I want to stay mad. I don't want to forgive you. I don't want to make up. I feel better being mad. I like sitting right here being mad. Let me be mad. And if you're honest with yourself, I want to be mad. I want to stay right here. Then stay there. And then when you're ready to come out of it, come out of it. Don't stay too long. So that's how I try to keep myself together. I try to be honest with myself.
Yeah.
Or I'll go to somebody and tell them a situation, be like, okay, am I crazy? And they be like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's owning it. Like, you got to own it. And I love the idea of just kind of being honest with yourself, because it's hard for people to admit those ugly truths about themselves. But I mean, either change it or just accept it. Like,
or be okay with it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well,
and then accept that about somebody else. If they're that way and they don't want to change, okay. Now I know who you are. I got the choice to deal with you at this level or move on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I so appreciate your time. I knew that I was going to have a good time chatting with you. And I really, really appreciate you really just going there and allowing people to hear your story, because so many mothers out there are balancing so many things in their lives, and they don't always take the time that they need for themselves or to check in with themselves. But I'm glad to see that you do have a balance. But before we get out of here, I do want you to share with the audience, how can they connect with you?
Oh, NikkieKnowles.com. That's where I am. And on social media, it's Funny Girl Productions. I think I had funny underscore girl productions on Instagram and Facebook. It's just Nikkie Knowles. Just me. So gotcha. I thank you so much for having me. This was really, really fun. I was nervous at first because I was like, Lord, I don't want to say nothing crazy, but that's just who I am. You're going to get something crazy. Just take it or leave it. I'm sorry.
For sure. Just being ourselves. That's all it really boils down to. But I do want you to share a little bit about the kids boot camp that you were speaking about. I do want the audience to hear a little bit about that.
So it's called LOL Kids. And basically what it is it's a week-long camp. I'm going to have it during spring break here in Maryland. And basically, we just teach the steps of becoming a stand-up comedian, how to write a joke, what is a callback, how to design a joke, the anatomy of a joke. And I love the fact that doing it with kids, because I feel like our kids don't have outlets anymore. I mean, we have a lot of kids that do sports, but what if you have a child that doesn't play sports, but they're really good at writing? And so my class, and the other part of it is, it's not just about being a comedian or writing jokes, but it's also creative writing. It's self-awareness. It's team building. It's, mind mapping, problem solving. It's so many other things outside of being a comedian. I just want to give you a doorway to show there's another way. And so when I started the first one that I did, I had a guy, he's 10 or 11 in my class, and his mother was like, he kept getting in trouble. And I do teach Sunday school as well. Mm-hmm. And so he was in one of my classes, and he's such a cut up. And so I was like, why don't you take my class? And so in my class, I give you a creative writing book, and it's just a bunch of writing fonts or writing, just stuff to get you started on writing. Mm-hmm. It's a whole book of it. And then I give you a notebook and you write your jokes in there. And I tell them, you write in this every day. It doesn't have to be a joke. Just write in it. Write your thoughts down. Write how you feel. Just, get that creative energy flowing and out. And so he did really, really good. And I was like, he has a little something. Mm-hmm. So I told his mother. And so about 2 weeks later, she came to me and she was like, thank you so much for letting him take your class. He doesn't even get in trouble anymore. He comes home, does his homework, and then he writes in his joke book. And I was just really happy, that it worked out for him. He's still cut up in church, but, that's who he is. Mm-hmm. But, I got another testimony like that from another girl. It's just a way, something for them to do outside of watching TV or being on a video game. And if you don't play sports, some people are now reading more because they read the book. And so they're writing their own stories. And so it's just an outlet for the kids.
Okay.
So I'm happy.
Yeah, I love that. And thank you for sharing how people can connect with you. I really, really, really appreciate your time today and you joining me. As I said, this was really, really fun. But for you guys who are listening, please make sure that you connect with Nikkie. All of the information of how you can do so will be in the description of this episode. Please also make sure that you guys follow me, Tree the LPC, on all social media platforms under the handle Tree the LPC. Until next time, be safe, be well, and make sure that you take care of your mental health.